interest rates when we have such huge deficits, huge debt, unresolvable debt, and price inflation that you're understating. Now what we got is low short-term rates, but they're not really too low. And we got higher long-term rates. If we get above 5% on the long bond for 10-year, the 10-year Treasury bond, I think we're going to have a lot of trouble with the stock market. Trump said something a few years ago, I mean like the last year of his first administration, that he'd like to convert a lot of the equity and capital in the stock market into rebuilding the U.S. economy, rebuilding U.S. industry. In other words, to reindustrialize the United States. Well, you can't do that if you get a stock market problem. You get a big decline. Trump is going to want to continue with the stock market, at least keep it stable. And I think it's going to be hard because the bankers are going to want to sabotage them. They've been captured regarding Epstein Island and regarding Chinese bribery in the military. The big banks have been captured, and they might exact their revenge by doing something in a slippery manner by raising interest rates and reducing some of the internal supports, namely fraud, market controls, to maintain low interest rates. It's going to be interesting.
Gold at $2,800 US, 4,000 Canadian. With these gold prices, would you expect gold stocks to be flying? Any ideas on why they're not?
They've been in the doldrums now for 15 years. I gave up on them in 2009. I got tired of fraudulent accounting. I got tired of ridiculous expectations on new discoveries. I got tired of 20% executive options, and I don't think the industry for gold mining has overcome those problems. I don't like gold mining stocks, period. I prefer gold coins. I prefer silver coins. I prefer the metal. I gotta say, I gotta say, there are too many unscrupulous and shady types in mining company executives among them. Just too many. They get big stock options. They pounce on a stock by release. What do you call it? After the holding period of 9 months or whatever for executive options. I got hit way too many times. After 10 or 15 hits with the mining stocks and only 1 or 2 winners, I thought, this is a loser's game. I'm sorry. That's my opinion. I don't like mining stocks, period. There are too many people involved, too many accountants involved, too many rosy expectations from mining deposit discoveries involved, too many options for executives involved, and you got some clowns running around in South America who exercise pump and dump schemes and write newsletters.
Is XRP going to replace SWIFT, and is the XRP stablecoin going to show how global finance replaces the U.S. dollar?
I think we got some extraordinarily interesting times here with respect to, I don't want to say replace, I want to say create a pool that is more honest and asset-backed than the entire ocean of dollars. The United States government controls the extra flow of dollars, and there's nothing backing them. They say the good faith and trust in the U.S. government when they have not earned it. We're going to see a magnificent new trend of creating stable coins with corporate names. You know, there are a few different key indicators that have come up. One is the CBDC, and Trump has said, we're not going to have any CBDC. We're not going to have it under my regime, under my administration. Okay, what that means is the central banks are not going to be given the power to control the dollar in a digital form. There's a lot more to it, but that's simplified terms. Trump has also done things, and the markets have done things to disallow USD Tether. Tether has been banned in Europe, and Tether Tether coins are created by the U.S. government Department of Treasury. I mean, you got a one-for-one correlation between the Bitcoin price and USDT. I don't know if that's true in the last week or two, but it's been true for quite a long time. Trump has indicated that he doesn't want a digital form of the dollar and he's talking about a lot of different policies, and his picks, like Besant. We're going to hear a lot about Besant at Treasury. Besant and a woman named Caroline Pham. She's they say sitting or temporary, but I think it could be more permanent soon. She's the CFTC, Commodity Futures Trading Commission director right now, Caroline Pham. And boy, oh boy, is she a smart cookie with respect to digital assets. And I've listened to her a couple times, and I get impressed, and I learn. Besant wants a digital form of assets, and the real-world asset concept is going to work right into the stable coins, which facilitate XRP and other devices, other coins. Ripple doesn't like XRP to be called a coin. They like to be called a value transfer unit. I love that. That means it's not a security, it's not a currency. We don't know what the heck it is, but you can move funds around. All right, great. A value transfer unit. Well, that's just great. Don't know what it is, but you sure can use it, and it's very effective and efficient. Okay, we're going to see, according to the indications by the Trump appointments and the Trump comments, we're going to see a raft. There could be 4, 5, 6, or 8 different corporate stable coins that are going to supplant the usage of the dollar. You know, big banks like Bank of New York Mellon and Bank of America, and those are two of the big ones right now that are going to transfer a lot of their assets, including assets under custody, into stable coins, out of the dollar and into stable coins. And then you're going to see movement, sale, purchase, trading, investment, locking up for investment strategy, etc. And that will be the impetus and catalyst for XRP and other payments to be done. So XRP, I think, could become like a gigantic pool whose market cap estimates and limitations are just going to get bigger. Oops, looks like we got maybe 10 times bigger potential for the market cap on this coin. Oh, we got maybe 10 times more for that coin, because we're going to make a digital form of real-world assets. And this is going to be a concept that's going to be really quite intriguing and fascinating, because it's not just stocks, bonds, and property. It's mining deposits, it's refineries, it's gold mines, copper mines, it's artworks, it's jewelry, it's assets. I mean, golly, every time I hear someone say, well, that's the market cap limit based on all the assets, I said, well, what are you not including in your assets? Are you including this and that? No. Then you got a wrong calculation. Anyway, we're going to see stable coins, and Ripple has one that is becoming a real crowd favorite. It's called RLUSD, Ripple Lab US Dollar. RLUSD is taking the world by storm. Back in early December, there were 20 banks. I'm sorry, I got that wrong. There were about 5 or 6 banks that were supporting the stablecoin concept and then XRP usage. And by the time we got into mid-January, there were 30 banks. I wouldn't be surprised if there are 50 banks now. Okay, I honestly believe XRP is going to be your second chance if you missed out on Bitcoin for 1,000-fold gain. I think from 50 cents to $500 is very possible in the next few years.
Do you think President Trump's tariff wars are designed to remove the World Economic Forum and the Chinese Communist Party influence from North America?
Yes, but there's a lot more to it, and I have to defer. I'm not gonna be really specific on this. The tariffs have many different sides to it. This is a power play. This is a sharp stake in the ground to force negotiations, to force compromises, to force and induce foreign corporate, foreign direct investment at the corporate level. I'm waiting to hear Toyota will make some plans to expand Toyota plants in partnerships with the big 3 U.S. automakers in the United States, in our lower 48 states. Trump's tariff plans are a lot of bluster, and I got news for Trump, and it's part of my open letter that I'm working on right now in my mind. It's not to paper yet. If you are too forceful about the 100% tariffs, what you're going to win is a global embargo against the United States. Now, that's one way to cut out the New World Order out of Geneva. That's one way to cut out the Communist Party out of Beijing. But it also cuts out the U.S. business sector. So he's winning compromises. And notice with Canada, there was, what do you say, a 30-day or 90-day, I can't remember which, 30-day or 90-day delay, 30, for the tariffs. That's so they can negotiate. And part of the negotiation is like for fentanyl influx from Canada and for enforcement of the border, where Trudeau has left the border open. I call a criminal a criminal. If you don't like it, you don't have to listen to me. Trump's plan is to threaten a tariff and win a negotiated settlement. If he thinks, like a total economic idiot, that tariffs will go straight into the U.S. Treasury and lower the debt, then he's a moron. Those tariffs will be passed on to the U.S. consumers. It'll show up as more price inflation. That'll have an effect on the bond market, which will have an effect on the stock market, which will have an effect on investment capital in the United States, which will have an effect on making worse the depression. Donald Trump, wake the hell up. You're not a good economic student.
Do you believe a chess game motive is behind the Trump tariffs? Is he bluffing since the U.S. government has a $36 trillion debt?
Well, it's pretty hard for the debtor to make the rules. In fact, it's almost impossible. And, we used to say that we're using gunboat diplomacy and the military backs up the dollar. Well, we don't even have military superiority anymore. In every Pentagon war games scenario, with respect to Russia and China, we lose, and we lose in less than 2 weeks. So, be careful of what you threaten. Entire countries might say, we're going to cut you out. We're not doing any trade with you. And the only way you can benefit from our output is with a third party. And then you got the United States going after the third party intermediaries. And before you know it, the United States is going to sanction the entire remainder of the global community of nations. How stupid is that? You got to clean up the dollar. You got to clean up the treasury debt. You got to reduce the spending. You got to clean up the fraud. And you got to negotiate for foreign direct investment. And you need to do it without threatening. You need to work and build trust.
President Trump spoke at Davos to the World Economic Forum crowd. How was his speech received?
Well, by the Davos crowd, it was received with contempt. By the guests invited by the Davos crowd, it was received with some enthusiasm and good wisdom. But I think you really mean, how was it received by the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, etc.? And to them, they're just even more motivated to kill Trump.
Thanks to President Trump, are the World Economic Forum and Agenda 2030 crumbling?
Yes, they are. And behind the scenes, I keep hearing it over and over again, there are very big accounts in the high billions and maybe some in the trillions that are being seized, confiscated, and sacked. We're not going to arrest Klaus Schwab. What we might do is remove his source of funds. That's where I expect the crumbling to take place. It's not a crumbling of their building and not a crumbling of their bombastic speeches and their plans to, launch the Marburg virus and to go ahead with, global extermination. It's going to be the lack of funding. What I'd like to see Trump go after next is the climate change fraud kings and their pilferage and extortion. I think Trump should put out a warning that at the next climate change conference, there could possibly be a rod of God that eliminates the entire 5-acre area. That way it will be very poorly attended.
President Trump continues to mention Canada becoming the 51st state. Why do you think President Trump is doing this?
Because he wants all your tremendous commodity assets in the form of minerals and energy. He wants to reduce the U.S. government debt by confiscating assets in Canada. You got a lot of assets. You got 1/10 the U.S. population, and you got a tremendous asset base. I mean, how much gold and industrial metal is in simply northern British Columbia, northern Ontario. I mean, like more than 300 miles north of Vancouver, 500 kilometers, more than 300 miles or 500 kilometers north of Toronto. Trump is looking to confiscate, I shouldn't say that word, annex, work out deals with, broaden the trade horizons with Greenland. And Greenland has neodymium. It's the best rare earth, the best metal, I shouldn't say best rare, it is a rare earth metal that is the best for magnetism. It's got the strongest magnetic field per kilogram. Neodymium. I think it's ND, like N as in Neo and D as in David. And I think we're going to get some deals with Greenland. Now, Greenland has only 57,000 people in population. So $1 million grant, $1 million gift to each citizen, well, that's $57 billion. And Trump said that's not even a quarter of what we've blown in Ukraine. So now the Ukraine $200 billion blown, or $220 billion blown, over half of which was stolen, just like I've been saying for the last stinking 18 months, that's turning out to be a measure, a standard of measure. It's really quite funny. Okay, back to Canada. I don't know what his full motives are. I think he wants to displace the Chinese influence in Canada. I mean, give Canada a real close death threat. I saw a really good video by a Canadian last week, and he said this is a death march to Canada. You got now something like 50% of Canadian companies want to reopen, want to build and open subsidiaries in the United States. They're looking to abandon Canada. So Trump's plan might be to threaten the existence of Canada for its economy, economic health, unless the Canadians get rid of the Chinese influence with their energy production, their Royal Canadian Mounted Police influence, and their ownership of the Parliament. I mean, you got Trudeau, who apparently resigned, but he's still around. What the heck was that all about? Very clever move. He avoided a vote of no confidence. Okay, you need to get rid of your guy. We got rid of ours. It's your turn now.
Originally, Prime Minister Trudeau retaliated to President Trump's tariffs with 25% tariffs on U.S. goods. After 2 phone calls with President Trump on Monday, Trudeau did a 180 and caved. What do you think Trump said to Trudeau?
We'll make sure you end up on a rope and no floor.
Do you think the current Trudeau is the one with the lisp, the one with the stutter, or the older one? And do you think President Trump knows there's more than one Trudeau?
I think both President Trumps know that there are at least 2 or 3 Trudeaus.
Listener question from Mike. How do you know that the originals of Hillary, Bill Gates, and the others are actually dead?
I don't. I just know that the current ones running around are not the same. So I put it back to Mike. Can you prove that the ones running around are the originals? Hey, look, I got a theory regarding Gates. I believe Gates is going to be executed 5 times.